Hey everybody! Alright, we're reading the Pocket Buddha Reader. Yeah, edited by Anne Bancroft, okay? We're on page 49 in the section titled Clarity. What is meant by non-duality, Mahatma? It means that light and shade, long and short, black and white, can only be experienced in relation to each other. Light is not independent of shade, nor black of white. There are no opposites, only relationships. In the same way, nirvana and the ordinary world of suffering are not two things, but related to each other. There is no nirvana except where the world of suffering is. There is no world of suffering apart from nirvana, for existence is not mutually exclusive. Lankavatara Sutra. Well, that's a paradox. That's a paradox. The student Punaka asked the Buddha, "Why is it that the wise men in the world, priests, rulers, and others, always offer sacrifices to the gods?" The Buddha answered, "They offer things to the gods because as they get older, they want to keep their lives as they are and have no misfortunes." "But Buddha," asked Punaka, "does it ever make any difference to their old age by making these careful offerings?" Their prayers and praises and offerings and hopes are all made on the basis of possessions, rewards, and longings for pleasure. These experts in prayer are longing to continue becoming, but it will make no difference to their old age. Please tell me, Buddha, if all the offerings from these experts don't get them beyond old age, then who has ever gone beyond? The Buddha said, "When a person has thoroughly understood the world from top to bottom, when there is nothing in the world that agitates him any more, then he has become somebody who is free from confusion and fears and tremblings and the longings of desire. He has gone beyond getting old and beyond birth and death." Sutta Nipata. When you understand the world, when you thoroughly understand the world, now that is definitely something way beyond the surface. Because I know what people are going to say, you can never understand the world, you never stop learning. Obviously, this is something much deeper. It's almost like when you understand beings, how they come to be, what's life about, what's the nature of your consciousness, what is your ego, what is the path to relieving suffering. I think these are the things he's talking about when he mentions that. The Buddha was asked, "To what extent can a person be a speaker of the way?" He answered, "If a person teaches the way in order to transcend the tyranny of the material things and to teach how to transcend feelings, perceptions, impulses, and consciousness, teaching non-attachment with regard to these, then that person can be called a speaker of the way. If he is himself trying to transcend the pole of the material world and to feel non-attachment toward it, then it is fitting to say he is living in accordance with the way. If he is liberated by this transcendence and non-attachment, then you can say he has found nirvana here and now." Samyutta Nikaya. Again, transcending feelings. I think understanding that feelings are they kind of, I don't know the better word to say it, but think of like these spirits, not necessarily, you can say energy, just the emotions they come, they arise, they will go, just like it'll pass. Sorrow, grief, anxiousness, despair, even love, even comedy, even fear, it will go, right? To transcend it, right? Transcend feelings and perceptions, transcending, because see, perception is it's kind of twofold. You can perceive when something's about to happen, but remember, he said you had to be alerted. You had to be alert and attentive, right? So if you see somebody acting kind of dangerous, that doesn't mean you automatically assume they're going to be a good guy, but also doesn't automatically assume that you think they're going to be bad. To understand that clothes don't define the character, right? The makeup doesn't define the woman's virtue, right? The hairstyle doesn't define the amount of money the person has, right? These perceptions and impulses, transcending impulses. Our culture makes the whole marketing is impulses of sex, right? Here's a woman showing her boobs. Buy Coca-Cola, right? It's like these impulses are all over the grocery store. Costco is a good example of that. When you buy more than what you need because it's right there at the counter. Oh, do I need 6 packs of gums? I even saw a commercial once that said, I went to buy a mascara and then I bought like 6 more. It's like, that's an impulse buy. Did you need 6 mascaras? Right? How long is it going to take you to use those 6 mascaras? Right? Did you have to spend that money on those items at that time? Could you have just done 1 or 2, one for an extra, right? Did you need 6? Impulse, right? And see, impulse, some people might think like if you're surviving and you need to like jump from a sinking ship, you need to move out of the way of a shark. You need to move out of the way of someone punching you in the face. That's completely different here. I think impulse is like not thinking before you act, right? Wow. And teaching non-attachment. Wow. How many people, if their car got scratched, it's like the end of the world, right? Super attached to their cars. What does that do to them? You know what I mean? Shariputra asked, when a follower attains the great insight of perfect wisdom, does that follower then covet and cultivate omniscience, infinite knowledge? The Buddha answered, such a follower never covets or cultivates infinite knowledge. Look at that. A follower of the way, he's contending, doesn't covet knowledge. You shouldn't covet. Hiding it. It's interesting. It's hard to, cultivate infinite knowledge. You can do it, but infinity is infinity, right? That very attitude of not coveting and not cultivating reveals everything to him, and he sees all possible structures. From objects of the senses to Buddhas, to be transparent in their nature. To be transparent in your nature, be who you are. Corporate America teaches you how to not be that. There's a very funny yet very philosophical episode in SpongeBob SquarePants, believe it or not, where people make SpongeBob be normal. And SpongeBob does it, and then when he acts normal, he actually becomes more of a freak. Because you're like, be who you are. Who are you? Why are you giving this, hi, oh, nice to meet you, yes, okay, we're gonna go there. It's like scary, right? I met these kind of talking heads, and that's why a lot of people today in the mainstream media, they're just corporate talking heads with they only say what's put on their transcript. They're totally controlled. Those people are losing to the alternative media, where people are like, some people can be too biased, right? So we'll exclude them from this example, but they're giving you like more of a real raw interpretation, and you know who they are in a sense of like where they're coming from and their perspective, right? They're not different from when they're in the office, in the newsroom, and they're not different from when if you meet them on the street. They are who they are. And that is what I think is the good example of this. This radiant transparency is, in fact, simply the total awakeness of Buddha. The now awakened follower becomes in this way immersed in infinite wisdom and blossoms spontaneously as omniscience itself. Prajna Paramita. Again, becoming awakened is like linked to transparency in your nature, right? Not hiding who you are. It doesn't mean you indulge. Remember, he said impulse is bad. So it doesn't mean, oh, well, I'm going to be who I am and I'm going to go, put dog poop on everybody's, lawns because I hate them and they're mad at them. No, that's not what he's saying at all. That's anger. Remember? Rein in the emotions. So again, this is like unleashing your true, healthy, full potential self. Being transparent, but not grasping, right? That's way more powerful. Very interesting. Describing his awakening, the Buddha said, coming to be, ceasing to be, ceasing to be. At that thought, monks, there arose in me a vision of things not before called to mind. Knowledge arose. Such is form, such is the coming to be of form, such is its passing away. Again, yeah, there's this cycle, right? Even a geological cycle. Think about the mountain is formed, right? Magma, all that stuff, the core, plate tectonics, orogeny, basically how mountains are made. They come up. The weather has its own thing going on, and even the angle of the mountain will dictate what level of precipitation, what kind of what kind of plants will grow there, how the air will be. It's all like this cycle, right? But eventually the rain's gonna and the wind is gonna break off that little bit of the mountain, and that'll wash down, create a whole new landscape. That'll wash away. The mountains will move again. There'll be a new form. It's like it came and it left. Everything's gonna come and leave. It's fascinating. Recognition arose, such is its coming to be, such is its passing away, and the state of abiding and the understanding of arising and passing away, that too arose. Samyutta Nikaya. Again, since the section is titled Clarity, to truly be, to be clarified and realize it's a cycle of life. Stop grasping at everything. Okay, now the next section is titled Body and Mind. Ananda said, friendship with what is lovely, association with what is lovely, intimacy with what is lovely, that is half of the holy life. The Buddha responded, don't say that, Ananda. It's the whole, not the half, of the holy life. One so blessed with what is lovely will develop a right way of being, a thinking that no longer grasps at what is untrue, an aim that is concerned and ready. Again, an aim that is concerned and ready. What's going on here? I'm ready. A contemplation that is unattached and free. That's what I think about studying and, reading and just talking with people, right? You contemplate, and you can have what your own inherent vision and purpose, but to unattachedly read some material to where you're not automatically gonna go to war over it, right? You don't have to beat everyone over the head, but you're like, okay, I'm gonna read this, I'm gonna read that. Okay, I got the information. Okay, I got this, I got that. All right, it's gone. It's interesting because you're free in contemplation, to truly be free in your thought, to not just have it rigid and regulated and force fed into you, and then telling every people you shouldn't read this and you shouldn't read that. It's like, who are you? Let the person be free to contemplate. Everything will come and go. Your brain will come and go, right? Look at dementia. That's, there's all these different brain diseases. Who are you to tell the person what is a wasted life? Because life in and of itself will come and go, right? It's fascinating. Association with what is lovely is the whole of the holy life. Samyutta Nikaya. Beautiful. I mean, there's so much going on here, with what is lovely. And again, that'll also, everyone has a different measurement of what is lovely. Some people don't want to spend their whole life in a cubicle. Some, they want to, be crunching numbers on Wall Street. Some people want to raise chickens. And somebody who is very vain and materialistic and greedy and self-absorbed might be like, oh, that person's with chickens, they're wasting their life. It's like, well, how do you know? To them, that's what is lovely. That is peace. So, who are you again? Again, this is fascinating. Wow. Friendship with what is lovely, right? What is not lovely? Bar hopping, violence, not athletic competition. I'm talking about raw violence, right? Constantly being pessimistic and crapping on other people's hobbies and joys. That's not lovely. You're not being lovely. That person has a healthy habit. That's lovely to them. It is not your consciousness. Okay? It doesn't mean that you don't realize that person, it might, if they go too far, go off the path. But they're trying to develop their right way of being to their consciousness, as it says, right? It's fascinating. Interesting. Concerned and ready. Oh, not in the days of pills, right? You're awakened. You're here. You're present. You're talking. It's a beautiful thing.